Hey everybody, movie reviewer next door here, and I'm back with another review. This time I saw The Three Musketeers. It's a 2011 action-adventure film directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, and it stars Logan Lerman, Mila Jovovich, Matthew McFadden, uh, Ray Stevenson, Luke Evans, Mads Mikkelsen, Orlando Bloom, Gabriella Wilde, James Corden, Juno Temple, Freddie Fox, and Christoph Waltz. In this film, the hot-headed young D'Artagnan, along with three former legendary but now down on their luck musketeers, must unite and defeat a beautiful double agent and her villainous employer from seizing the French throne and engulfing Europe in war. So, what did I think of The Three Musketeers 2011? So I haven't seen a lot of the Three Musketeers movies, so I don't have a big frame of reference for this. I'm guessing a lot of people that straight up hate this are mostly comparing it to those other films. To be honest, I'm just comparing this as its own, talking about this as its own film. And as its own film, I think it's pretty fun, goofy entertainment. But uh, let me get to the cast. Uh, Logan Lerman plays D'Artagnan, uh, young, hot-headed, kind of cocky. He gets that character down really well. I think Logan Lerman is a great actor. He's always been good at these kind of young adult type roles. He does really good with the choreography, which I will talk about. Mila Jovovich plays Milady de Winter, who's kind of a sub-villain of this film. Uh, I think she plays her role decently. I do think this is kind of a self-insert thing for Paul W.S. Anderson because her and him were married at the time, which I'm not going to shit on an actor for getting more jobs in the business through being married to someone. She got jobs before she got married to big people, so I really don't see the issue with that. Um, Matthew McFadden plays Athos. He does a really good job as Athos. Really nice voice, really commanding screen presence. I should check more of his stuff out. Um, Rafe Stevenson plays Porthos, uh, kind of the brute strength character. I've always loved Ray Stevenson. Um, Rest in peace. He was also an Accident Man 1 and 2. Really great actor. Luke Evans plays Aramis. He's the stealthy one. Um, I enjoyed him also, even though the musketeer this movie focuses most on is Athos of the three, but they all still do fine jobs. Mads Mikkelsen plays Rochefort, who's I think the lead soldier of the Cardinal Army. Um, he does pretty all right. Orlando Bloom plays the Duke of Buckingham, who's another sub-villain, uh, leader of England. Um, I think he's good and over the top in the right way that works for this type of film. Gabriella Wilde plays Constance, who's a love interest of D'Artagnan's. She works well. She doesn't have a ton of screen time, though. James Corden plays Planchette. He's kind of a servant for the Three Musketeers. I found him to be very annoying, and I think he's one of the big issues that this movie has. Um, Juno Temple plays the Queen. I enjoy Juno Temple. She worked fine here. And Christoph Waltz plays Richelieu, the Cardinal. He's kind of our main villain here, but I say kinda, and I'll talk about that. He works fine. Um, I kind of want to start out with the things I didn't really care for from this film. One of them being I wish the Musketeers got to use more of their skills that are like shown at the beginning of the movie, such as Athos being the kind of resourceful one, like has he's more of the like sword fighter or the gunfighter of the team than Porthos's brute strength, and Aramis is the stealthy one. Porthos kinda uses that at times, but Aramis almost never is stealthy other than in the opening scene. And I think that's a bit of a missed opportunity. You could have had moments where they coordinate attacks and use their different things. Porthos kinda. Like there's a couple times where he like fights somebody hand to hand, but it's mostly in the first half of the film. Then it just kind of becomes all three of them doing the same thing. Um, I'm a little bit let down by that part of it. The other would be the uh again James Corden. Like the comedic moments that happen that do not involve James Corden, I think mostly work. I think this film has a nice sense of tone. It's not taking itself so ungodly serious. There's moments where the tone is a little bit like serious with certain like pivotal events of the plot, but it feels natural. It doesn't feel like the film just like changed its entire tone for that. So I'm glad that it didn't do that. Whenever James Corden is in the film though, the film gets very how do you say it kind of screeches to a grinding halt, and the one of the last things in the movie is him talking to them and them telling him to shut up, which is a running joke. Uh by far, he's the worst actor in the movie. I've never liked James Corden. I've never found him to be a likable screen presence. I've never thought he had what it takes to be an actor because he really doesn't have any charisma. It's not he doesn't have charisma and he's just all around an unlikable screen presence. Um the Oh yeah, the love story between D'Artagnan and Constance is kind of meh. It's about what you expect from a movie like this, but I kind of wish they'd gone into more depth with it, like D'Artagnan changing and her starting to notice that he's changing into being a better man or more interesting, because at first they're kind of butting heads and he's trying a bit too hard to like get in her pants kind of, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, maybe that's not all there is to women and all that." And I'm like, "Okay, you're going places with this," but then it really isn't. Um so yeah, that was definitely a letdown. Mila Jovovich, I really do like Mila Jovovich as an actress. I've liked her in many films acting wise. I thought she did a really great job in a film called Faces in the Crowd. I thought she did great in that. I thought she was wonderful in 45, an indie crime drama revenge film that I thought was really good as well. Um, there's another that she was in where I was impressed by her acting. Oh yeah, I always liked her in Fifth Element. Fourth Kind, she was one of the best parts of it. Uh, Paradise Hills, again, one of the best parts of that movie. Not that it was a bad movie, but it was also kind of a movie I wish more happened in it. Um, Survivor, she did good for what she was given in that. I still enjoyed Survivor, but yeah. But yeah, in this, she's kind of a glorified, like, secondary villain because she kind of just leaves the movie. It kind of just comes out of nowhere. And for a second, I was like, okay, that's well done. They did one of those things where they take out a character without, or they take a character out of the movie that's, and it's not like a, you can see it from a mile away. But in this instance, it kind of felt like, oh, she's just out. And it's like, it's kind of weird. It wasn't very satisfying. And I could say the same with what happens with the main villain. The main villain doesn't really get much of a comeuppance, and it just feels very. The ending is kind of the worst section of this film because the ending is kind of like, oh, some things are better, but the main thing that could have fucked everything up isn't. So I'm kind of weirded out by that. Um, but I can say quite a few good things about this film. Uh, the film was made for $75 million, and if Paul W.S. Anderson knows one thing, it's how to stretch a budget. He stretches the budget quite well here. There's some gorgeous scenery in many parts. Some really gorgeous sets, and especially just the stuff inside the castle is just gorgeous to look at. Whenever you've got these big, vast shots of the cityscape, they're very impressive looking. The CGI in this film, I think, holds up pretty well. Um, Even the airships, I thought looked pretty cool. The action that goes on with the airships is very well done. The action in general, uh, feels, I won't say like fully grounded, but it has a really nice energy to it. It doesn't feel stale. You can easily, in PG-13, you can fuck up action and it can look very bland. But in this, I don't think it does that. I think it's very well done, well shot. There's some really good choreography going on. It's very obvious that Lerman, McFadden, uh, Stevenson, and Evans did a lot of training for this, along with Mickelson, Bloom, and uh, Waltz. And it really shows. And I'm glad they did because, like a swashbuckling movie or a movie with a lot of sword fighting in it, would not be complete without very well choreographed fights. And I think that's what they have here. Um, the costume design is really on point with the time period they're going for. Even though there are some more like clock punk elements, the whole like flying ships thing and a lot of the weaponry is very like clock punk inspired. There's some really nice, cool, kind of semi-futuristic gadgetry here. Like the ship has this like thing that Luke Evans' character is cranking. Adamus is cranking that has like a bunch of cannons and it's like it's shooting them in quick succession. That was cool. Um, uh, Again, the cast for the most part, aside from James Corden, does a pretty solid job with all of this stuff. Um, and yeah, I really don't have much more to say. This is just a very well made, pretty fun action adventure movie. I guess if you compare it to the others, it's inferior, but I haven't seen the others. Just as a person who enjoys who can enjoy a kind of silly action movie that knows it's silly and doesn't try to be something more, uh, I think this film did its thing. I think it works, and yeah, had quite a fun time with it. So that was my review of Three Musketeers. If you've seen the film, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. If you have any recommendations, put them down there as well. And movie reviewer next door out.